morning muli ang iyong lingkod, Biz Horizon Chaser, para doon sa iba pang detalye sa naganap na conversation with the media on the status of Philippine Agri-Biotech. At ito nga ay naging matagumpay dito sa DOST SEARCA, Los Baños, Laguna. At narito naman ang iba pang presentasyon na mula kay Miss Maria LORELIE AGBAGALA ng head ng National Committee on Biosafety of the Philippines Secretariat. So sa kanyang the revised regulatory system for Biotech Crops in the Philippines. So alamin natin bakit nga ba napakahalaga ito ng mga yung mga revised nito, mga sistema nito, at paano natin ito may apply para lalo na doon sa mga gustong tumangkilik sa mga ganitong klaseng programa mula sa ibang bansa at narito na sa ating bansa. Alright? So patuloy lamang.
Like what Ma'am Ola mentioned in her presentation earlier, the Philippines is actually recognized as the leader on biotechnology in the Asia Pacific. And that's probably because we already have regulatory systems in place to address the concerns brought about by the products of modern biotechnology. Regulatory system for biotech crops in the Philippines. The Joint Department Circular, which covers the trial, commercial propagation, and for direct use of products of modern biotechnology was originally issued in 2016. However, a review was carried out in 2019, so the revised version of the circular was issued on March 23, 2022. So, allow me to guide you through the chronological sequence of events that leads to the issuance of the Joint Department Circular in 2021. So, 3 years after the implementation of the Joint Department Circular, and that was in 2019, the competent national authorities of the 5 departments, like the DOST, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and the Department of Health, recommended reviewing the Joint Department Circular to address the challenges brought about by the implementation of the regulatory framework, and also the need to address or to consider the coming into force of the RA 11032, which is the ease of doing business law. And it actually prescribes a specific time frame for all government transactions. So in March 2019, the National Committee on Biosafety of the Philippines created an ad hoc technical working group to revisit and review the Joint Department Circular. And the group was tasked to come up with a revised version of the document by identifying specific sections in the original version that needs to be revised in order to address the concerns both by the regulators and the applicants or the stakeholders. Then in July of 2019, the ad hoc technical working group submitted the revised version, the proposed revised version for NCBP for approval. And then the final version was, it went through a series of virtual consultations, stakeholder consultations, and it was finalized in October of 2021. And then the final version, which was approved by the Committee on Biosafety, was actually signed by the 5 secretaries of the Departments of Agriculture, Science and Technology, Environment, Health, and Local Government. It was virtually signed because it was pandemic during that time. So it was virtually signed by the 5 department secretaries on November 8, 2021. And it was officially issued on March 23, 2022, following its publications in 2 newspapers of general circulation and after submission to the Office of the National Administrative Register. So what are the basis for the review of the Joint Department Circular? So as I mentioned earlier, in order for us to comply with the ease of doing business law, which is actually have a specific time frame for all government transactions, and also to address the delays in the issuance of biosafety permit, which can be attributed to conflicting interpretations of the different biosafety committees of subsections of the circular. And the delays also in the submission of evaluation by agencies and technical experts are also contributing factor. And finally, the concern of the stakeholders or the applicants that the permit for stock products may be invalidated once the permit for the individual components of the stock expires. So those are the basis for the review of the JDC series of 2016. So what are the salient points of the revised circular? Application documents up to the approval or issuance of the biosafety permit. So from kasi before po, during the old framework, the whole approval process takes about like 85, 100 days, more than 100 days to be completed. So with this dito po sa ating bagong regulation, within 40 days po, the approval process will be, the issuance and approval of the biosafety permit will be completed. Okay, next. Next is the creation of the joint assessment group. So with the new JDC, a joint assessment group will be established for every application to jointly assess the application, and it actually promotes a common understanding of assessing and managing the risk of the regulated article. And the JAG, or the Joint Assessment Group, which is composed of members of the different biosafety committees of the different departments, makes the recommendations to the Director of the Bureau of Plant Industry regarding the approval of the biosafety permit applications. So this reform actually streamlines and shortens the assessment and the approval process. So meron po tayong established na Joint Assessment Group to actually do the assessment in actually one meeting, and then all of them, all the biosafety members of the biosafety committees will be there to assess the application. So who are the members of the Joint Assessment Group? So this is composed of members from the Department of Agriculture, Science and Technology, Environment and Natural Resources, and the Department of Health. The DABC chair will be the chair, or will lead the group, and then as per the mandate of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, they can actually make a determination of non-coverage for specific applications for direct use, and same with the Department of Health, they can also make a determination of non-coverage for specific applications for field trial. And each of these departments can engage an external expert if there are actually specific issues in the application that is beyond the expertise of the different biosafety committees. Ethical and cultural considerations. So with the revised joint circular, there's actually a change in the language when it comes to the socioeconomic considerations. With the inclusion of socioeconomic considerations, we changed the language from the shall take into account into may take into account, suggesting that the socioeconomic considerations will now be optional and rather than being mandatory. And this actually aligns with the language provided in the Cartagena Protocol. And as we recognize that the socioeconomic considerations are separate and distinct from risk assessment, the Joint Department Circular deems it appropriate that the public participation or the public consultation will serve as the avenue to address any concerns or any issues na socio-economic rather than in the application process. So ayun pong mga concerns regarding socio-economic, ethical, and cultural will be tackled or will be addressed during public consultations. What about the on the policy of on field trials of GMOs? For all applications of LMOs developed in other countries, the applicant may directly submit to the Bureau of Plant Industry. And if the Bureau of Plant Industry determines that the data generated on the field trials conducted or the commercial propagation experiences in other countries are relevant or applicable to the local setting, the applicant may no longer be required to undertake or to undergo the confined or contained test in the Philippines. So, kung yung pong makikita ng BPI na yung data na na-generate in other countries are applicable to the local setting, pwede na po silang dumiretso na mag-apply for field trial. They will no longer be required to do the contained or confined test, which is under the DOST or the Department of Science and Technology. And it's actually following the principles of data transportability. And if there are biologically relevant differences that are observed in the studies conducted in other countries, this data may be used in the conduct of field trials here in the Philippines. On the validity of biosafety permit, so with the revised joint circular, the biosafety permit for commercial propagation and for direct use for food and feed, which has a safe use for over 5 years, will no longer be renewed, but will remain valid unless revoked. Actually, there will be a routine review will be conducted upon receipt of new science-based information on the Biotech Crops to study or if there may be any potential risk to humans, animals, and the environment. So there will be a routine review po na gagawin kung meron kaming ma-receive na new information regarding the biotech crops that may pose risk to humans, animals, and the environment. And when there are no longer renewals required, the routine review upon receipt of new information will ensure that there will be continuous or ongoing monitoring on the biotech crops. And actually, this maintains a safety net for identifying and addressing any potential risk to human health and the environment. And the system also allows for flexibility. Like for example, if a specific biotech crops demonstrates a consistent safety consistent safety record for over like 5 years, it can continue to be marketed without any unnecessary regulatory or bureaucratic burdens. But the crop will still remain to be under the review if there will be new concerns that will arise. So what about for GM plants and products with stock events? So for plants with stock traits that is combined through conventional breeding and conventional breeding of approved GM parental lines or their derivatives or their derived products, they are not considered novel products. So they do not need to undergo the risk assessment. Kasi before po, during the previous regulation, the stock trait products or the stock trait products are still being assessed for their safety. But for the new regulation, they will no longer undergo assessment, but the individual events or the individual components should be approved individually or separately before it's being combined. And the applicant may request for the registration of the stock products and their sub-stock products in the BPI approval registry for commercial propagation or for direct use. The new department circular or the new regulation provides for for petition for reconsideration. So the aggrieved party regarding the decision made for field trial, commercial propagation, and for direct use can actually file for a petition for reconsideration to the Department of Agriculture Secretary within 15 days upon the announcement of the decision. So kung meron pong party na hindi po acceptable yung naging decision ng BPI, they can actually appeal po or file a petition for reconsideration to the Department of Agriculture Secretary. Circular, there will be no deregulation in the Joint Department Circular, in the revised Department Circular. And this actually serves as a management measure that was conceived by the different biosafety committees and technical working group. And the intention is to require the biosafety permit holder to strictly adhere to the permit conditions and to exercise due diligence in monitoring the performance of their product. And this in turn assures the users of their product that in the event of any untoward incident, it's the permit holder who will be held accountable for any damage or loss that may occur. And actually, the burden lies in the owner of the permit. And this actually, the greater emphasis is being placed on the grounds for revocation, allowing the biosafety permit to be invalidated at any time. So in other words po, the permits can be cancelled or invalidated whenever the established grounds for revocation are met. So yun po yung ating policy. With these key messages, the revised 2021 JDC provides for a streamlined process in handling applications on GM crops and clearly define the roles and responsibilities of each concerned departments or agencies in the decision-making process. Transparency and public participation continues to be an essential component of the regulatory process, following the government's policies on transparency, efficiency, and accountability. And the regulation is continuously evaluated and modified. So marami pong salamat, and mamaya po sa discussions, I will be open for any questions that will be addressed. Thank you po.
Thank you, Mama Lou. That is...
Alright, so yan ang kabuuan ng presentation ng ating National Committee on Biosafety of the Philippine Secretariat na si Miss Maria LORELIE AGBAGALA, na kung saan ay nilinaw yung itong revised regulatory system for Biotech Crops and the Philippines. So, ganun kahalaga yung mga sistema na ginagawa ng ating gobyerno. Alright, so isusunod naman yung Gene Editing Guidelines in the Philippines by Miss Jeronima Eusebio, Head ng Biotech Office ng Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Plant Industry. So, isusunod ang kanyang presentasyon. Magpapasalamat ang inyong lingkod doon sa mga patuloy na sumusuporta at nakikinig or sumusubaybay dito sa ating programang Happy Morning News Online. Bagaman hindi sila nagla-like, pero nakikita po natin yan. Ang mahalaga lamang sa inyong lingkod ay matangkilik natin itong napakahalagang balita hinggil sa siyensya at teknolohiya, dahil ito ay talagang magagamit natin sa ating pang-araw-araw ng ating pamumuhay, at ito'y pinag-iisipan at pinagugula ng panahon ng ating mga scientists, at mula ito sa mga lehitimong pag-aaral talaga. Kaya the more na tayo po ay makinig at manood, tayo po'y makikinabang, aangat ang ating buhay. Inyong lingkod, Busy Horizon Chaser, pa-like and subscribe. I love you all.